times.
Yeah.
Okay, relationship and sex therapist and a certified sexologist.
Yeah.
So like you're a sex expert.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Hey guys, I thought I would switch things up this week and do a little something different. So I'm here today with Kelly McDonnell-Arnold, and she is from Bliss Counseling, and she is a sex and relationship therapist and a certified sexologist.
I am.
So she's an expert on sex.
Thanks for having me.
In a lot of my content, I talk a lot about how it's really important to be on the same page as your partner when it comes to your relationship, when it comes to how you run your family, and to put your partner on your to-do list. Like date night, super important. Spending time together, like all of that, you need to schedule in time for you and your partner. What I don't talk a lot about is sex, because I don't know, it's kind of uncomfortable to talk about. It's kind of personal, but it's a really important aspect of your relationship. So that's why I thought it'd be fun to bring Kelly here today, just to chat about sex and how to make sure that that part of your relationship is, you know, where it should be, or as, I don't know how to,
where you want it to be.
Yeah. So I do have some questions for Kelly, but first I want to just, you know, let me know, what do you do? What does a sex expert do?
Great question. I get asked it a lot in my personal life, and I get cornered in parties a lot, which I actually like.
Yeah.
So I'm a sex and relationship therapist, so I work a lot with couples and individuals or relationship dynamics of all kinds in therapy, and then I also do a lot of educational things as well.
Okay, so my first question for you is, how important is sex in a relationship? You know, especially in a family. So things are busy, you know, there's extracurricular activities, there is, you know, responsibilities, lunches, homework, all the stuff that come with kids. I feel like sex and working out are the two things that just get like thrown off your to-do list, but they're the two things that after you do them, like, why don't I do that more often?
You're so right. People knock off their working out or their sex life. Like it's just not a priority, or just things get in the way, and then you just don't feel like your best self. And then if you're not feeling like your best self, then you don't want to be engaging in good sex, or you know you're capable of having good sex, so you don't want to be engaging in bad sex just to do it.
Yeah. And it's crazy because it is a vicious cycle. When it comes to women, we look at sex very different than men. It's more emotional for us than it is physical. So, well, it is physical too, but the whole getting, you know, turned on and being in that moment where you want to engage, there's a lot of emotional aspects to that. You know, when you and your husband aren't at your best, when you're not on the same page with things, when you are, you know, have conflict or stressors in your life, you're less likely to want to. You know, my question for you is, how do you get past that? Because when you do connect and when you do have time to be passionate with each other, you feel more connected and like you're on the same page. But getting to that point, you know, if you're not there, you're not there.
You're hitting on a really good point that with the majority of heterosexual couples, females tend to want or need that emotional connection in order to feel like they want or are able to feel like they can connect physically. And then males tend to feel like they need that physical connection in order to feel like they can be vulnerable with their emotions and give their female partner what they want and need. So if the emotional connection starts lacking, then if they're feeling their emotional needs aren't being met, then they feel like they don't want to engage in sex, or they're not as able to engage in sex. But then the other partner's like, well, I'm not able to meet your needs emotionally unless I'm getting my physical needs met. So you're right, it does get into this cycle. So if you can be present with the cycle and know what's happening and try to find different ways to engage in physical touch that maybe isn't sexual intimacy, so there's more opportunities for it to then roll into a sexual encounter. I always reference the 5 love languages. You probably have heard of it.
Yeah.
Love your partner the way they want to be loved. So if your partner likes acts of service or quality time or gifts or words of affirmation or physical touch, if you can make a conscious effort every day to do something to show your partner that you care with them and love them, then it's more likely to feel easier to engage in physical and sexual intimacy.
But I want to go back when you're talking about like the physical touch, right? So, you know, if you're trying to get that connection back and things are just not good, should you just walk by and touch the shoulder, or do you like when you mean, like, what do you mean by that? that.
Whatever works for your relationship. So I think, you know, if you're used to cuddling on the couch or holding hands, and if you can just take whatever you're doing currently just one step further. So if you're just a hand holder and you just sit there holding hands, just start rubbing their arm. If you are a cuddler, can you do something to like start touching each other's hair or in different ways?
But what if you're doing nothing? What if there's no sex, date night is like few and far between, and the two of you are just not on the same page. Like what do you do then?
Good question. And you know, that happens a lot because it's like we're not just going to engage in sex when we're not feeling connected, or we don't even know how to engage in sex because we're feeling awkward or just disconnected or different pages, like you said. So I think sitting down and communicating with one another and really having an honest, frank conversation about what is going on for you, how are you feeling, what needs of yours are not being met, and actually listen, validate, and empathize with your partner's experience. Like join them in their experience. So I always give the analogy, if you're looking down at a number 6 and your partner is sitting on the other side of the table, they're seeing a 9. So both of you are looking at the same.
That is good. Yeah. That is really good.
Thank you. I didn't come up with it myself, but I can pretend for this video.
Yeah.
Anyway, so if you can both look at it and what you're looking at is the same thing, but you're seeing completely different ways.
Yeah.
So if you can just transcend from your own experience for one moment and join them in theirs and just see what they're going through, you do not have to agree with it. You don't have to be like, okay, yeah, you're right. It doesn't have to be about that. You just need to validate both experiences, and then there's a joining and a softening in that experience.
Totally. You know, when you explain to your husband or your partner, this is how I'm feeling right now, or, you know, I'm feeling upset because the kids are doing A, B, and C, and this is how that makes me feel. It's really helpful to say, you know what, you don't have to understand why I'm feeling this way or necessarily agree that I'm feeling this way, but can you just recognize that this is what I am feeling right now? Just because you don't understand how I'm feeling doesn't mean that that's not my experience. So I think that 6-9 thing is like, that hits the nail right on the head. It's not about sex. This is not about sex. This is about everything else in your relationship, right? It's about communication, being on the same page, and all of those things. So, you know, maybe if you feel like you're not getting that passion and connection that you need, don't start in the bedroom. You have to start in your outside life, right? And make sure that you guys are meeting each other's needs in real life, and then kind of the rest will come.
And if it doesn't come, it makes the dialogue to have it come easier, right? So if you're feeling connected, then it's easier to engage in effective communication where you can be vulnerable and actually really listen to each other. But if you're on different pages and not connected, then to say, you know, I'm feeling that we have desire discrepancy, like you have much more lower desire than I have. Those conversations are really difficult to have.
Oh my gosh, those conversations are so over my head. Okay, so this is a question that I think that is a lot of parents want to know. So we're busy, you know, we're tired, we are overwhelmed, and at night we kind of just want to go to bed. So what do you do when you're just so tired? The one lady was saying how, you know, she's so tired and she goes to bed and she knows that, you know, her husband wants to connect with her when he comes upstairs, and she's literally like pretending she's sleeping, right? Because she's just like, I just can't right now, I'm so tired. So how do you push through that? Because that's a huge struggle for so many.
The first thing is, you said, how do we push through that? I don't think that you should push through per se if it's not something that you're wanting in that moment.
So go to bed?
In that moment,
lady, she said you just go to sleep. It is okay. It is okay.
Absolutely.
Just to go to sleep.
I'm giving you permission.
Yes.
Do what you need to do to meet your own needs, right? So if you're feeling very depleted and you don't want sex to become another thing that you have to do for somebody else all of the time. Like,
you don't want it to be a chore.
Right.
Yeah.
There's I like to use the term maintenance sex. So if you have your spectrum of all different types of sex you have, like sometimes it's super passionate, then you do vacation sex, then you have like kids are out of the house sex, and then you have, you know, if you just can establish a quickie from time to time. Maintenance sex is healthy and normal and encouraged, meaning that you like do it, you're like, it's good, but it's not like the best sex you've ever had. So that's good to do. But if you're feeling really tired and you're feeling like almost an aversion, like, oh, I really don't want to engage in this, then I would suggest not engaging in it, because you don't want to condition yourself to have a negative experience with sex. So even being engaging in sex from being a place of neutral, so neutrality, feeling neutral is actually a really healthy place to engage in sex if you have the time.
So how does someone feel neutral when like they're just feeling tired.
So some of the analogies that I give are, if your partner wants to say like, oh, let's go to let's go to this amazing restaurant tonight. I'm really excited to try this meal tonight. And you're like, I'm not starving, but I could eat. Like, yeah, that'll be fine. So that's feeling neutral, right? Or even, you know, if your friends are having like an amazing party and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to call the babies, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to figure out what I'm gonna wear. Like all of these things, you're like, oh, the party is not sounding so fun. But once you're there, you're like, I'm having an amazing time. I'm really glad that I'm here right now.
Yeah.
So if you can be at a place where you know, like, you have the energy to go, you're capable of going, you feel like you could go, then that is a neutral place versus feeling completely depleted and tired. If that's the case, then something about your schedule needs to shift, or the time of day you're engaging in sex needs to change.
So it's really, how tired are you? Right? Are you like wiped out, physically incapable of getting to that place?
Right.
Or do you just need to do a little work to get to that place?
Right.
All right, well, thank you so much. That was a lot of information, but a lot of really good information. Actually, I think I'm gonna have to watch that video like 3 times to really like soak it all in.
That's good. Yeah, well, thank you for having me. It's been fun.
Yeah, no, it's been awesome. So guys, the moral of the story is it's really about communication, meeting your partner's needs, and
knowing your needs and communicating those needs as well.
Communication, it always boils down to communication. All right, so that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions at all or any reactions to this video, please shoot me a message at jamie@jamiescrimshaw.com or leave a comment below. And I will link up Kelly's information. Where can they find you, Kelly?
So I run a private therapy practice in Kitchener-Waterloo, in Uptown Waterloo, at blisscounseling.ca. And if you're ever looking for online resources, you can go to sexologyinternational.com.
Awesome. All right, and I will link those for you guys. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys soon.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Different pages and not connected, than to say, you know, I'm feeling that we have desire discrepancy, like you have much more lower desire than I have, or, you know, I'm really wanting to experience or exploring kink, or I'm really wanting to try something new. Those conversations are really difficult to have.
Oh my gosh, those conversations are so over my head.